So, hello everyone. Got a lot of things going on today out in kind of my shop area. I'm working on a little pipe project to add a couple of ranks of organ pipes to digital organ up in San Jose, California, having to do some rewiring and things like that. Pretty typical stuff for my day job, as it were. And of course, last time we talked quite a bit about some problems I was having with the control functions on my live rig for performing my original music. And of course, the project that I'm currently working on, which is partially funded by a grant from the city of Fresno. At some point, we're going to want to perform that live. And I do go out to give live performances of my original music, so I do have to kind of keep pace with making that rig as best I can with what I have to work with. I've done a couple of things here. This is been all relocated into a different part of the house to make more room in my studio, and we're going to go in there in just a minute, kind of see some things that I'm doing in there. And what I'm pushing to get done here before the Thanksgiving holiday is now that the music is finished in terms of me composing it, writing it down, not quite done with the initial recordings, but I have to start creating the formal score because there's other musicians involved. And so we have the parts for the choir, we have the parts for the soprano soloist, and then I have to create a part for me and, you know, for the conductor of the choir and all that good stuff. And so I would never want anybody to have to try and read my hand scribbling. That would not really be fair at all. And of course they make software that's similar to like a word processor, but with musical notes. And I'm using a free open source software called Muse Score. It seems to work okay. I've never used software like this. I've always written things out by hand. But like I say, it was usually just for me, so I could read my own writing. Some of the things that you have to do, like last night, I ran into an interesting little situation. When you're writing for choir, sometimes it's advantageous to put all the parts, all four parts, just on two stabs, like you would see for piano music, treble clef and bass clef. And you would have two notes written, one for bass and tenor, and then on the treble clef, one for alto and soprano. But then if you end up with notes kind of crossing over each other, maybe the sopranos at one point go to a lower pitch than the altos, something like that, it makes sense to have an individual staff for each of the parts. So you'd have four staves running together. And most of this kind of software will open or close things up. If I have it written on four staves, I should be able to tell the computer, hey, no, I just need that part on two staves. And then vice versa. If I want to break it out from two staves to four staves, then there's a way to do that. And it took me, I had to go on YouTube and find some videos on Muse Score. And I found out they call that exploding and imploding. And so once I knew what command I was supposed to use, then from there I kind of figured it out. Other nice things that you can do with the software is, of course, this is in unison. All the singers are singing the same notes. Traditionally, though, you write the women's parts, soprano and alto, on one stave, and the men's part on a different stave, bass clef. Even though they're technically the same notes, they're an octave apart. And I could just write it out once and then tell the computer copy and paste to the second stave. It, of course, then puts it in the wrong octave, but then you can transpose, and then it came out real nice. There's repeats in this particular part of the music, and so I'll be able to use like a copy and paste just like you would in a word processor, and so that really makes it nice. And so The next thing I've got to get done on the grant-funded project is I got to get all of the vocal scores out to the singers, and like I said, I'm trying to get that done before we get into the Thanksgiving holidays, so that my soloist and my conductor can look everything over, ask questions, see if, or even make suggestions. You know, if I've written something that might be problematic in some way, I may have to go back and make some adjustments. So that's what's going on with that little bit. So last time we talked about a problem I had in a live performance, and it came down to a relay that I was using to control some functions on my live performance rig. And one of you who watches my videos regularly, who is apparently in the electronics game, wrote back with some interesting suggestions and their own experience in working with that kind of a relay setup and how to solve various problems. And basically the little cheapy relays I was using were connected just directly to a foot switch, and then going into my RC600 unit, and then onto the computer to make a next and previous function. And those relays were giving me some trouble. What specifically happened to cause the problem was that a wire came loose, and of course all bets are off at that point. No matter how good the equipment is, if a wire comes loose, it's not going to work. But one of the things I do in my day job of working in the organ industry is we do different organ installations, and this is a relay that we use quite a bit. In fact, we usually buy them in bulk. And what we use this for is to switch on and off amplifiers from the organ console, so that when the console comes on, the amplifiers might be located a couple hundred feet away, wherever the speakers are, or in the AV rack or whatever. And then we sometimes need a relay. Now, most of the time we use an amplifier that has a relay built in that will respond to the 12 volt signal that comes from the console. Other times when we have to use a different type of amplifier depending on the situation, one of the amplifiers we like to use is made by Ashley, and instead of putting a relay to turn on and off their amplifier remotely, they have set up what's called a switch leg. So you're supposed to tie two wires to that and then go over and have a toggle switch somewhere, or you can of course connect that to a relay to do that switching. And that's what we do. We have these relays, and our 12 volt signal comes in at one end. Then there's a debounce circuit. There's a timing circuit if we need it to be delayed, which, yeah, in that condition. And then there's the relay itself, and then there's either normal closed or normal open contacts, depending on what you need. Well, in the case of the Ashley amplifier, you would use the normal open. That way when the relay fires, it closes, and then the amplifier turns on remotely. Like I said, we buy these kind of in bulk, and they're not terribly expensive. If you buy them, like in a 6-pack or something, they're $2-3 a piece, really. So I gave these a try on my little control system issue, and they work absolutely beautifully. Like they have a debounce circuit built in, and so I have these. They're inexpensive. So I'm going to, when I build out my new control panel, then I'm going to use these relays, and they have a better wiring connection, and so those should be a little more reliable. I've also been doing some research into this little puppy here, the Arduino microcontroller, and you can do a lot of interesting MIDI control things with these, and that's been a fun exploration. I initially thought, oh, I'm probably going to have to learn how to write code for this, but I looked around a little bit, and you really don't have to write code. You can program these with a plain text file, similar to the way we do some of our stuff in the pipe organ industry. And people have already written MIDI code and stuff. So I am planning on an interesting project using an Arduino board. And when we get to looking at that, we will, I'll make some videos about what I'm doing about that. But for now, why don't we go take a quick look at the live performance rig, and I'll show you just what I did in terms of immediately solving that control problem I was having. So I want to kind of zoom in on the foot controls here, and I had a little box over here with a couple of toe studs and the relays, and that was the thing that gave me trouble during my last live show. And so it was doing the next and previous function on my stop combinations on the Hotbrick software. So that I'm going to have to build a new setup for with those other relays. But I found an interesting temporary solution. So this is my pedal board for doing bass notes. And currently, the music I do live, the highest note I ever play is this D, which means I never really use, at least for now, the D sharp and the E. So I went into the Hotbrick software and I just reassigned those. This is my next, and E is my next, and D sharp, or E flat, is my previous function for now. So until I improve my foot control setup over here, I still have my next and previous button. And I've also kind of discovered that I should be doing a little more with my hands. I have set up on the SL88 a set of X key buttons that handle my combination presets. And I've really found that the more I do there and only use the next and previous pedal function when needed is really going to be better off. It's going to deliver a smoother performance. You know, it's kind of easy to get into that habit, you know, boom, boom, boom. But anyway, so we have an immediate solution for that, and I've got a better solution in the works. I'm building a new setup for over here that the RC600 will sit on, and so little by little making improvements to the rig so that I can continue to perform the music I've already written and be ready to perform the music I'm writing for the future as we go along. So that's it for this week. Thanks for joining me on my little adventure, and we'll see you next time.